Michael Jackson on stage for the last time, looking frail, but even at 50 years old and just 2 nights before he died, energetic enough to dance. While today outside the Jackson family home in Encino, California, another performance. This one more in line with the circus that was Michael's life. Today's ringmaster, Reverend Al Sharpton.
It is the determination of the family to be careful and deliberate on how they plan his celebration of life.
The Reverend now consulting the Jackson clan and leading a bizarre news conference in which he seemed to be, not so subtly, coaching Michael's father, Joe.
What did the letter from President Obama say? You gotta know.
That's a private letter.
That's a private situation. I have to deal with that.
Joe Jackson's tone went from the emotional.
I wish that Michael could be here to see all this. Have to wait till something happened like this before it could be realized.
To the surprisingly promotional.
I established a record company with Marshall, and the company is called Marantz Record, distributed by Blue Star and Blu-ray.
But he did get serious when reporters ignored the record promotion and asked him about the custody of Jackson's 3 kids.
Of course, this is where it belongs. We're the parents, and we got other kids of their size. They love those kids, and we love those kids too. We're going to take care of them and give them the education they're supposed to have. We can do that.
Today, a judge granted Catherine Jackson, Michael's mother, seen here shopping at the Target store over the weekend, temporary custody of the children. She lives apart from Joe, who spends most of his time in Las Vegas and is hardly mentioned in the court documents. As for Debbie Rowe, the biological mother of Prince Michael in Paris, who was paid by Jackson to drop out of their lives, she now wants to have regular contact with him and is willing to go to court to get it, says a friend, a notion Joe Jackson did not look upon fondly.
Debbie Rowe has nothing to do with what we're doing.
Then again, Joe Jackson has had to deny over and over again a notorious history of being rough with children. Michael accused him of abuse and was largely estranged from his dad, something Michael spoke about openly in the documentary Living with Michael Jackson.
He practiced us with a belt in his hand. And if you miss a step, expect to be...
Just let me go back. You just said that you would practice the dance steps and your father would be holding a belt in his hand. Is that what you just said?
Yes. And he would tear you up if you missed.
Joe has denied the allegations. Quote, I whipped him with a switch and a belt. I never beat him. You beat someone with a stick.
I'm not sure that it would be relevant unless there's some reason to believe that he's been a danger to these children over all the recent years. I'm sure that they've been together, and it seems unlikely to me that that's going to be central.
And while few have anything negative to say about the matriarch, Grandma Catherine, she is 79 years old. But family law attorney Scott Altman says that won't bother the court.
I don't think that age would disqualify someone as a fit guardian.
But what did Michael want? Multiple sources tell ABC News he did leave a will spelling out his plan for custody and who gets what's left of a fortune based on his and the Beatles' record library that was once worth $1 billion. Family friend and former manager Frank DeLeo says he's seen the will.
Well, I'll make sure that the will is lived up to, and I will make sure that everything that the children or Catherine in the will be done. That's the important thing, is to carry out Michael's wishes, not everybody else's, Michael's wishes.
Joe Jackson says the family has not seen the will.
I think we're going to have to wait and see whether Michael Jackson had a will, if he had set up trusts for the children. But it's also possible there was no trust, in which case whoever is guardian for the children will very likely be in a position to be managing whatever assets they get for their benefit.
And while it's been widely reported that Jackson has mountains of debt, as much as $400 million, his assets as a former friend and business partner, Mark Schaffel, are plenty to take care of the kids.
The assets are more than the debt. I mean, the Sony catalog is an incredible investment. That's going to be worth money for the rest of its entity. The MyJack catalog, again, especially now with Michael's death, the record sales are probably going to be more as in Elvis. So there'll be quite a bit more royalties coming from that.
Coroner's investigators in the Los Angeles Police Department returned to Jackson's Holmby Hills house today, leaving with more evidence.
Some medications that we did locate.
Can you tell us what part of the home they were found in?
No, not at this time.
Investigators are still trying to find the reasons behind Jackson's sudden death. Police questioned Dr. Conrad Murray for 3 hours over the weekend. He's Jackson's personal physician who was with him when he died. Today, his attorney spoke to ABC News about what his client told the police.
Thursday morning, the doctor went in to Michael Jackson's room, saw that he was not breathing, and rushed over to him, felt his body to see if he was warm. He was. Looked for a pulse, found a weak pulse, and started performing CPR.
Is he on the floor? Where's he at right now? He's on the bed, sir. He's on the bed. Okay, let's get him on the floor.
But the doctor performed CPR on the bed, which is considered less effective than doing so on the floor.
He reached around behind his back, put his hand behind his back to support his back, and started compressing his chest with his other hand. Michael Jackson's a very frail man. He made sure that there was proper compression. In fact, he was administering CPR. Michael Jackson was alive, or at least he had a pulse. Until emergency personnel got there. He was pronounced dead long after he made it to the hospital.
Chernoff claims his client did not inject Jackson with Demerol.
I don't know whether he was actually using Demerol or OxyContin, but I can say this. Dr. Murray never prescribed, never administered Demerol to Michael Jackson, and that goes as well for OxyContin.
How did Michael get involved with Dr. Murray? The attorney says they met in Las Vegas when Jackson's kids got sick. Frank DeLeo says it was Michael who wanted him to tag along on tour.
I met him through Michael. He said he was a cardiologist, which I believe. He seemed like a pleasant guy. He seemed like he knew what he was doing. He was there to help Michael stay focused and get his energy and, to try to help him sleep at night.
But ABC News has learned that Dr. Murray, seen here with some of his patients, is not a board-certified cardiologist. And he worked at a Houston clinic that was shut down by the DEA because another doctor in the practice, Dr. DeVell Armstrong, had his license suspended from June of 2006 until last month for prescribing medication without conducting a physical or history. The DEA stripped Armstrong of his ability to dispense drugs because of overprescribing. So Dr. Murray filled in for him. Susan Taylor is a former patient of Dr. Armstrong's and a registered nurse.
Everybody goes to Dr. Armstrong, because he's right there in the neighborhood. He'll give you whatever you need.
Taylor says when Dr. Armstrong got caught, Dr. Murray stepped in and covered for him. Murray's attorney denies any such claim.
I can tell you Dr. Murray is not Dr. Armstrong, whoever that is. Dr. Murray has never had any problems with DEA. Dr. Murray has never had a malpractice case filed against him. Our office is getting constant phone calls from clients in Houston and elsewhere who want to stand up as character witnesses for Dr. Murray.
Dr. Murray is an excellent doctor. Very, very brilliant, very proactive.
The Jackson family says it is delaying Michael's funeral arrangements until all this gets sorted out and they get results from the private autopsy they ordered. But a rumored burial at Neverland Ranch has been ruled out.
That's not true. That's not true.
So the circus that was Michael's life did not die with him. And friends like Frank DeLeo, who rushed to the hospital as Jackson slipped away, just wanted all to slow down enough to focus on what was lost.
I'm going to try to remember all the great things. The unfortunate things is that I'm going to remember hugging and kissing him on that last day. And unfortunately, I have to get that out of my mind.
In Los Angeles, I'm Jim Avila for Nightline.